All right, Central, welcome to week 5 of the Strengths-Based Culture series. I am really excited about this week, and oddly enough, this week's topic lined up with the Bible study I had with my son this morning. And so if we're looking at the idea of a strengths-based culture through the lens of being made in the image of God in Genesis 1 and 2, we really got to ask the question, like, what happened when God created the world? Like, how does that tie into the purpose of mankind? Because anyone will read Genesis 1 and 2 and say, yes, this is the start of the purpose of mankind. But God chose to directly tie him creating to what he has in mind for humans. So this morning, as me and my son, my 6-year-old son, were studying Genesis 1, we talked about this idea of colors, right? So my son's favorite color goes back and forth. Like sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's green, sometimes it's orange. My favorite color is blue. My wife's favorite color is yellow. Our daughter doesn't have a favorite color yet because she doesn't know what they are. But like you think about like whatever your favorite color is, think about what it was like when God spoke that color into existence. So Genesis 1 starts with void, right? Like there's not even a universe. And as he starts to speak this universe into existence, colors are one of those things that happen. So all of a sudden red pops up in the form of a rose. Yellow pops up in the form of the sun. Blue in the form of the water, right? Like green in the form of grass. And how like amazing that would be to where colors don't even exist. Like that's hard to get to because we've lived in a world where colors exist. But you're in this area where colors don't exist, and now these colors are being spoken into existence. But at the end of those colors existing, at the end of those colors being created, God creates the ability for man to create and to contribute to those colors. So like we're given the colors, and then we're almost given this charge of like, how will you contribute with these colors? How will you contribute with the grass I've given to you, with the sun I've given to you, with the water I've given to you? How are you going to contribute with these things? We're given the ability to contribute, right? Till the land. I've given you dominion over the birds of the air, over the fish of the sea. And man is immediately given both the charge to contribute to the world and the ability to contribute to the world. Right? And then, as the story unfolds, we see that the serpent was crafty. And man is tempted. Like we're told these 2 trees are put in the garden. And one of these trees is going to allow humans to live life forever. And one of these trees is going to give knowledge of good and evil. And you can't have both. And so mankind in Genesis 3, by listening to the serpent, ends up choosing the knowledge of good and evil. And they follow what could be a passion for this knowledge. They follow what they believe is better than contributing eternally. Like we're not really given foresight into their thought process as to why they chose this tree. But what we know is that they believed that contributing to this world, to having dominion over this world forever, it was worth sacrificing that for the knowledge of good and evil. But then God does this really cool thing in Genesis, in this Genesis story, where he says, look, yeah, you've messed up, and now life is not the same. But I'm going to work with mankind to bring about a human that will restore. There were promises in Genesis, like I'm going to bring the Messiah, I'm going to bring the one who will crush the head of the serpent. And so once again, although things have changed, and this human might not be plan A or plan B or plan C, a new plan to contribute and restore the world is brought into light, and humans are once again invited into this contribution. And so when we think about our strengths, when we think about the idea of our strengths, it's easy to ask the question, what am I passionate about? Right? It's easy to ask the question, what am I passionate about? And go from there. And that question, it might be a step in the right direction, but a better question is, where could I best contribute? What is the most meaningful contribution that I can make? That's a better question. Like we're asked that question quite a bit of what are you most passionate about? But I think rarely are we sat down and asked the question, what is the most meaningful contribution that I can make? So today we are going to do an exercise together, and this exercise is going to be a little bit longer than the ones in the past. So we've decided to not interview a college student today. We'll be back on next week with Dalton Wolf. But this week we're going to just kind of leave us with an exercise around this question of where do I best contribute? And so I want us to start by taking a piece of paper, and I want you to write down 3 defining roles for you. What are 3 defining roles? So an example could be, one of my defining roles is I am a husband. I am a husband. Another one of my defining roles could be that I am a coach. Another one of my defining roles could be I am a neighbor. All right, so that's like, let's say those are the 3 defining roles, right? I've got husband, I've got coach, I've got neighbor. So I want you to take 1 minute and think through what are 3 of my defining roles. Not what defines me, but just what are 3 defining roles? What are 3 tasks that I have? What are 3 words that people call me that define my purpose? All right, next on that same sheet of paper, we're going to write what are 3 of your most influential life experiences. Now I know some of us have lived a while, we've had a lot of life experiences. So we're just going to pick 3 of them. What are 3 of your most influential life experiences? I think for me, one of them would be growing up in Atlanta, Georgia. For me, one of those would be becoming a father. Like the birth of my children. I think for me, my education path, the colleges I went to. would be another defining life experience. And these don't have to be positive experiences, right? These can be experiences with pain. These can be experiences with anger and resentment and God's grace. But just 3 influential life experiences. So we're going to give you 1 minute right now to write those down. And now, directly next to that, we're going to write down what are 3 of your strengths. Now, you are welcome to look over your results of the assessments that you have taken. You're welcome to look over your top 5 from High Five or from Strengths Finders. Or you're just willing to be honest and ask yourself, what are 3 of my strengths? But you're going to write down over here what 3 of your strengths are. So one of my strengths is teaching. I spend a lot of time teaching, mainly in the college setting, but one of my strengths I would say would be teaching. Another one of my strengths would be, I'm just going to write down the word funny. I think I'm able to take humor and make uncomfortable situations somewhat bearable. And then I think another one of my strengths would be significance. I need the things I'm a part of to matter. And I think I bring that to the teams that I'm on. So what are 3 of your strengths? We're going to give you 1 minute to write those 3 strengths down. And now, as we end today, what we're going to encourage you to do is take 5 to 10 minutes to look over this list that you have created and simply ask yourself the question, where could I best contribute at Central Church? So in light of my defining roles, where could I best contribute at Central Church? In light of my life experiences, where could I best contribute at Central Church? In light of my strengths, where could I best contribute at Central Church? Now, we're not asking you to make a commitment right now. And so the question isn't, where am I going to best contribute? We're just simply asking the question, where could you best contribute? So take 5 to 10 minutes. Look at your answers on the sheet that you filled out and ask yourself the question, where could I best contribute at Central Church? Central, we'll see you next week for week 6. And boom goes the dynamite.